Today I've got the new Nitecore MH11. This is a new pre-production light from Nitecore that's in their value line. They claim it's their cheapest light to 1,000 lumens. Runs off an 18650, two CR123s or 16340s, has USB-C recharging on the light itself, and produces 1,000 lumens. Nitecore also sent this new Tiki that's available with the blue glow in the dark. Pretty neat. I've reviewed this before, so I'll link to that as well. If you're not already following me on social media, I'd really appreciate you doing that. Very few of you guys who watch these videos are subscribed to the channel. If you are able to do that, I really would appreciate you doing so, as it helps me out. Now let's get into the review. For packaging and accessories here, the light I received didn't come in a box since it wasn't printed yet, but I'll include a picture of what it looks like. My light came with a USB-A to C cable here that you can see. It also came with a bag filled with a standard Nitecore lanyard and two extra O-rings that you can see there, and then the pocket clip. There is an 18650 battery installed that did come with the light as well. The MH11 is made from aluminum and is anodized in a hard black finish. It appears to be the same finish as what my MH12S that I reviewed recently has, so there's no cost cutting here on the anodizing. The overall design here is more simple though, with just the body features and things like that taking less production time, thus lowering the cost. At the tail end of the light, you do see a switch here. It is mechanical and kind of loud. You've got two ears to protect the switch and attach as lanyard points. This does allow the light to stand up, as you can see here. It's a little bit more stable and not on this lovely Photon Freaks map. You do have some knurling here at the tail as normal. You've got dual threads in the tail cap there, so it can absorb some vibrations. Here is that battery that I was talking about. Threads are Acme cut and well greased with an O-ring. I'll talk more about the pocket clip here in my retention section, but can only attach at the tail. On the body section, you've got some knurling. It's pretty short knurling. It's not very grippy, and it will attract dust and dirt pretty easily. You do have two flats with just the minimal amount of branding on there of Nitecore, the label and the model number, pretty basic standard here. The head does come off if you want. The head itself is kind of unique here. It doesn't line up with what I feel like should be the front. There's really no forward or backward on the head since there's no button there, but I'm kind of considering this to be the front, and it doesn't line up with the flats in the head or the tail there. Each one is all just a little bit clocked differently here. You do have that LED indicator there for battery status. And on this side, you've got your battery charging port cover, and this is nicely designed so it stays in place. I had no issue with that at all. The front is crenulated, which I like. You've got a smooth, deep reflector in there with the LED. It does have a glass lens as well. So let's talk retention here. The clip is only mounts here on the back. You've got about 13 millimeters of the light sticking up out of your pocket, but I want to pull your attention to this step here, and this easily catches on your pants, and I'll insert a picture here of kind of inserting it and having it catch on that pants. You've got to kind of work it to get it up inside here. Personally, I absolutely hate steps on clip. A lot of lights have them. Some work better than others. This one is pretty bad. To make it better, they need a ramp here so that when you insert material into your pants, it doesn't get stuck there and goes all the way in. Luckily, you have that lanyard. If you want to use it, you can attach at the tail and attach at the front, kind of make a tactical grip here. That's kind of a nice look. I measured the length of this light at 128 millimeters, maximum diameter at 24 millimeters, minimum diameter at 22.5 millimeters. Weight with the battery and the clip is 110.8 grams, and the light is IPX68 water rated and highly water resistant. It's drop proof up to 1 meter. And here it is compared with a few other lights. First, I will compare it to that Nitecore Tiki that they also sent here in blue, so much bigger, obviously. I'll roll in the Nitecore MH12S, which I reviewed recently, then the Nitecore MH12 GTS, and lastly, the Wukos FC11. The Wukos is just slightly shorter, but a good overall representation of the size of the MH11. So let's talk LED and beam here. The MH11 is running the Cree XP-L2 V6 LED in cool white. No exact tint data is given, but it's pretty typical. The beam does have some tint shift across it, and it's not a super smooth beam. Can't really tell it on my video footage here on my table, but I'll show it in my paper shots and my night shots coming up next. The center is hot and intense. It's got a bit of yellow-green as you move into the spill, and then some blue on the outer fringes. Official outputs are listed as the following, and there is quite a bit of jump between high and turbo in terms of output. Turbo 1000 lumens, high 230 30 lumens, mid 50 lumens, and low at 30 lumens. I did take a look at the PWM here, and my scope really didn't detect any, and I didn't see any with my eyes, and here are a few shots of that. Okay, here are my night shots for the Nitecore MH11, and this is the low mode of 3 lumens. You can see the beam profile here pretty good of that reasonably sized hot center. Here on the higher mode, this is 50 lumens, and this light is running that Cree XP-L2 V6 LED in cool white. It doesn't go much beyond my fence here though. On high, they've got 230 lumens. Here you can start to see the artifacts of the beam a little bit as well. You can see that hot spot and then the spill. And last is turbo at 1000 lumens. You can see it throws decently well. You can see the trees beyond the street there. Lights up the neighbor's backyard real well. We can see the cutoff isn't super hard or anything like that on the sides. Overall, a nice beam shape for a budget light. I have nothing to complain here other than that tint shift, which is hard to see on camera. Overall, nice beam for a general purpose light. I did my heat and runtime testing with the included 2600 milliamp hour 18650 battery. The light will also run on 2 CR123s or 2 16340 batteries, but you lose the ability to recharge when that happens on those smaller batteries. With the 18650, turbo is good for 4 minutes 20 seconds before the light steps down, and it will run for 1 hour and 48 minutes at about 50% relative output. At the 2 hour mark, it's running on its low mode of 3 lumens for another 3 hours and 10 minutes before low voltage protection kicks in at 2.907 volts. Max temp I saw was 46C at 3 minutes 45 seconds. I do wish they would have included a little bit larger battery here. 2600 milliamp hour is pretty low capacity in 2021, and that really doesn't add much additional cost. For this price point, I really think it should have a 3500 milliamp hour cell. The UI here is very simple. That tail button on the back is your primary and only mode to run the light. Full press to turn on. The light does have memory, so this is whatever mode I used it last on. It does have a low lumen mode here of 3 lumens. When the light is on, you can just kind of half press on the button to go up in the 4 modes as you saw there, and press to turn off. That's it. There is no special modes here, no double clicks to go anything. It's basic, it's simple. This would be a great light for old people who want something really, really simple, maybe your parents, something like that. There's not many on-off lights on the market these days, but this being a 4-mode light and just progressively getting brighter is easy to figure out, and there's nothing to screw up. So let's talk about recharging here. You can recharge via USB-C that I mentioned before. If you're using that 18650 battery, the battery itself is a standard button top cell, so any brands will work here. Nothing's proprietary. Charging does work via USB-C to C, which is nice to see on a budget light. And you can see from my charging graph here, things are a little bit strange. It's not a consistent current algorithm like we see on most other lights. Periodically, the light charging rate has dropped to 0 every few seconds, and my charging graph shows this, but it's not complete since it tricks my equipment into thinking things are done. Real charging time is closer to 3 hours and 25 minutes. The max charging speed I saw was 1.2 amps at the beginning of the charge. The battery measured 4.102 volts when full. You do have this LED on the side here that gives you charging status indicator. It glows blue when charging and slowly fades in and out. When fully charged, it goes solid. And that same LED acts as a warning when the battery gets low and it comes on. The pros for me are there's no proprietary battery here. It can take CR123As as well as 16340 batteries. It's simple interface for a basic light. And it has USB-C charging. My cons are it's got that 2600 milliamp hour battery instead of a larger cell. The pocket clip has way too large of step here to be practical to put in your pocket. It catches my pocket every single time, and it's cool white, but that's no big surprise. My conclusion is the MH11 is an interesting offering from Nitecore. As a light, it's basic, but it does everything most people need from a flashlight. The build quality here is good, but it does feel like a more basic design, but the anodizing feels the same as what Nitecore's premium models use. The UI is basic, but functional. While I appreciate the use of USB-C for charging, and I like that it's C2C compatible. While I don't always comment on price, I kind of have to on this one, given how this light's marketed as the cheapest 1000 lumen light from Nitecore. The MH11 is more affordable than many other Nitecore models for its output and size, but it's still more expensive than other well-regarded brands that I've reviewed in the budget category. So it's hard for me to recommend this for that reason if budget's your top priority. That said, if you're looking for a solid basic light from a company that's been in the LED flashlight industry since the beginning, this would be a decent place to start. It also is a very simple interface that anyone can understand, which is a big selling point and something people are looking for sometimes. So let me know in the comments what you guys think of the Nitecore MH11. I'll have links to where you can pick one up from NitecoreStore.com and links to my social media and other stuff like that. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next review soon.